What up, y'all? It's PhilaDehlia with PhilaDehliaEagles.com. Bumping some jams. Oh boy. It's 2 days till the draft. And we need to look at this boy, Carson Wentz. So, you know me, I don't ever claim to know anything about draft prospects because everybody's always wrong and it's a waste of time to act like you know what you're talking about. But I do call on my favorite draft correspondent, Mark Vader. So he will be joining us in this video.
Hey PhilaDehlia, so we are just 2 days away from the NFL draft, so let's talk draft. Primarily, let's talk about Carson Wentz, quarterback from North Dakota State.
Okay, so let's get right into it. I guess I would say one of my biggest concerns about, drafting Carson Wentz would be how little we know about this guy or how little we knew prior to his name being announced or him being our primary, target for the draft. Now, this could play out, again, like everything, two different ways, and it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think being overhyped, all these top 10 quarterbacks that we know about even before the season, before the draft, even before the prior season is over. A lot of those guys who are overhyped that we know a lot about end up having very high expectations. And what that does is it creates a lot of pressure and a lot of room for disappointment because we create in our minds this ideal quarterback based on what we already know. And sometimes players just can't handle that pressure and they completely crumble, right? So on the other side of things, maybe flying in under the radar might not be such a bad thing because then that leaves room for them to prove all the skeptics wrong. Someone who hasn't been handed that top position his entire life, someone who's had to struggle, I think could be a good thing. But what do you think, Vader?
He's definitely got the mechanics to be a quarterback in the NFL. That's what I believe. He's got the height and he's got a good arm.
So I agree with Vader. He's physically an ideal athlete. 6'5", 237 pounds, long, arm length, and his size and height is going to make it tough for him to take down, and he'll have great vision down the field. So I'm hoping that plays out in our favor as compared to some of the smaller guys where they might have risk of injury or, they can't see over the front line as well. I think that's definitely an advantage, but again, it's just one piece. So what I want to do next is get into his career at North Dakota State University.
He was a 2-year starter at North Dakota State, which they also won 2 national championships, which is a really big deal. So he shows a lot of potential.
He came in as a starter in 2014 at North Dakota State, and that first season he threw for 3,111 yards and 25 touchdowns. And in that season, they also won the FCS championship. He was there 2 years where he started, and both years he was able to lead them to the FCS championship. So that's great. But little side note on that is the team this year, they just earned their 5th consecutive FCS championship. So that means there's 3 other times that they were able to win the championship without Wentz. I guess the question is, was Wentz actually a factor, or was it just the talent that he had around him that allowed him to do well and allowed the team to win? So in his fourth year there, his second season starting, he ended up injuring his wrist, and I forget, he was out, let me see. So his second year as starter, he broke his wrist for 2 months, yet the team was able to win without him. and then fully recovered and came back to lead them to their 5th consecutive championship. So he does have those 2 championships under his belt, but the team had prior championships without him, and won when he had that wrist injury and was not starting. So again, this is a question of, is the team making him appear better than he really is? I don't know, because he's not going to have the same support system he had there in North Dakota. He's going to be in the NFL. It's a whole different ballgame. So I'm really curious to see how this kind of transitions. I'm a little skeptical, but there's some things that I do like. What I do like is how he wasn't handed this position. He hasn't been the superstar his whole life. He's kind of had to earn his way and prove himself. So I think that's great. It's better when you know what you don't have, right? So he's been there where he hasn't been the guy. And obviously, when you're in the limelight and you're having success, you want to stay there. So in my eyes, a lot of players will work harder when they haven't had it their whole life or haven't had it easy. So what do you think, Vader?
The cons towards him is that the biggest one is that he went to a smaller college, a college in the FCS. And when you're at that level, you don't face much heavy competition. So I can understand why that is a bit of a drawback. But that shouldn't be the only reason. Because I've heard people that, taking a player that high, number 2 overall from a smaller school, is a big risk. And it is to an extent. Look at Joe Flacco. He went to Delaware. And he seems to do pretty good as well. I know that's just one example. I'm sure there are many people who could say that there are other players who went to small colleges and did nothing. Well, there's also been players who went to big colleges and they did nothing. How many Heisman Trophy winners have gone on to have Hall of Fame careers in the NFL?
So what I want to do is clarify his division. I've been seeing, sports analysts and people on podcasts say that he's from a Division II school. Now, that is actually incorrect. He is Division I. Their school was Division II up until about 2003, and then they moved up. So starting in 2004, they are a Division I school. They're in the FCS conference. So technically not the big schools, but again, he's not Division II. I think it would be a big difference from Division II to Division I. So I like that he's still Division I, and his school has had a lot of success. So I'm sure he's learned a lot being on a team that has won 5 consecutive championships. And they know how to win, and they've played a pro-style offense, which is great. And I think the most important thing, the real thing that is going to determine Wentz's success is, like I said, those intangibles, those things you can't really see right now, and you can't really predict. And it's his mindset on, how hard is he going to work? Is he going to pull a Bradford and feel endowed, to everything, and where he, doesn't want to be threatened by his position? Like, that type of character won't make it. And if being that he, only played 2 years and had to earn that spot, maybe he'll fight harder. Another thing I was reading on the draft profiles is he has a very high athletic intelligence, which I find very important. I'm all about mindset when it comes to athletes, and this guy seems like he has a really good head on his shoulders, so that can do wonders. So I'm hoping that will just kind of give him that benefit of the doubt, and he will have success in this league. He's got to.
What I think is best for Wentz right now is for him to go into an NFL camp with a team and not do anything. Primarily, just practice, play in the preseason, and that's it. Develop him. This can help. You don't want to throw a player to the wolves right away. This can, be disastrous for a player who is not ready. And I think that letting him learn for a year or two, I think maybe 2 years might be best. Don't have him play anything meaningful. And I think you'll see that that it can pay off.
So I agree with Vader 100% in that we do need to give Wentz a gradual transition into the NFL, just like he had a gradual transition into his championship team at North Dakota State. So I think that's really important, not overwhelming, not screwing up their psyche right away, letting them get their feet wet. And that's why I think all these rumors going around of Sam Bradford getting traded, we need him to start. So I don't see the Eagles trading him because the plan was for Bradford to start at least this year and possibly next year. Because, again, Wentz needs time. And I think being able to sit back and observe will be the ideal situation for him to have success later on. So I don't know, a lot of unknowns, but I'm hopeful. Now that I've kind of paid a little bit more attention to kind of Wentz and his character and kind of his background, I'm hopeful. But again, uncertain. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Any, I guess, kind of points, pros, cons that you have on Carson Wentz that I didn't mention, please let me know in the comments. I'm doing all my little last-minute research before the draft this Thursday. And also, the draft, I'm still not sure what I'm doing yet, so I'm not doing like a whole party like I thought I was going to do. It's going to be just more of a casual thing. But yeah, that's it. And again, shout out to Mark Vader. Thanks for giving me some of your input as the draft correspondent. And also, he will be at the draft on Thursday, like physically there in Chicago, sending me clips. So I'll be posting some draft footage on this channel. So if you're new here, subscribe. And all the old school peeps, you already know what's up. So it's your girl Delia with PhilaDehliaEagles.com signing off. E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles!